Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, I've got a story to share with you that's not the worst caving experience I've ever had, but it definitely left me with a lot of lessons learned that I want to share with you. For context, I've been caving for a really long time, leading trips with my buddies, and always taking it seriously. Every single trip starts with a very serious pre-cave briefing. We always talk about safety, and I stress the importance of keeping the 3 points of contact. Never doing anything that feels uncomfortable, always having each other's backs, and making sure that if at any point someone starts to feel uneasy, they're allowed to speak up immediately. Safety comes first because, well, caving is serious business, and it's not the kind of thing you should take lightly. One particular day, we decided to explore a new cave that none of us had been to before. Now, I've been on countless cave expeditions, but this one was different right from the start. We arrived at the cave's entrance, and things took a strange turn. Instead of just being able to hike straight into the cave, we had to stop at the cave owner's house first to pick up a key. Yeah, that's right, a key. And when I say key, I mean a literal key to unlock the metal gate at the entrance. That wasn't the weirdest part, though. The entrance was this big, old, corrugated metal pipe with a ladder going down into it. At first glance, it didn't seem like a big deal, but the entire setup felt strange. It was like something out of a horror movie. The fact that we had to lock ourselves in behind a metal gate really set the tone. It felt as though we were being sealed in, and that feeling of isolation was enough to get my adrenaline going. Once we pushed past the initial weirdness, we made our way down into the cave, and I'll admit, it was incredible. This cave was unlike anything we'd encountered before. It had these beautiful formations and tight squeezes that were exhilarating to navigate through. The deeper we went, the more fun it became. We crawled, squeezed, and climbed through some incredible routes. The excitement was palpable. Everyone was having a blast, laughing, exploring, and discovering new paths. It was the kind of caving experience where you could tell everyone was really in their element. But, as they say, all good things must come to an end. And after a while, we decided it was time to head out. This is where things got tricky, though. As experienced as I am, I know that each cave is different, and you have to be prepared for that. This particular cave was rockier than others I'd been in. It didn't have the usual muddy pathways where you could easily leave footprints or clues to help guide you out. This cave was a labyrinth of rocks with no obvious signs to mark our way. I always make sure to take mental notes when entering a cave, especially when I'm leading a group, so I can recognize landmarks on the way back. But this time, it wasn't that simple. Let me tell you, if you want to make the mood in a group change instantly, all you have to say is, "I'm pretty sure I know where we are, but I'm not 100% sure." That's exactly what I said when we got a little turned around. I kept my cool on the outside, but inside, I was beginning to question myself. It's easy to act confident in the moment, but the truth is, I wasn't entirely sure of our route. The cave wasn't that big, so logically, I knew we'd find our way out eventually. But the lack of clear paths, the uncertainty in the air, and that eerie feeling of being deep underground made things much more stressful than I expected. We ended up wandering around for about 20 minutes, and that's when the real tension started to build up. The group was nervous, but they trusted me, and after a few deep breaths, we found our way back. I can't tell you how relieved I felt when we got back to that metal gate. We didn't lose the key, and we managed to lock ourselves out again, but just barely. Now this next part, the second story, happened in a cave I knew really well. I've been to this one countless times, and I've led several trips through it. We were pretty deep inside the cave, and it was time for a break. My friends wanted to relax for a while, but I only needed a quick sip of water. So, while everyone took a 10 to 15 minute breather, I decided to go off and explore a little bit. Looking back, that was my first mistake. Even though I knew this cave like the back of my hand, there were still sections I hadn't fully explored. So, I decided to check out one of the side passages that I'd never fully gone down before. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I walked down a large muddy hill and made my way to the bottom. But the moment I got down there, something felt off. I couldn't hear my friends anymore, and the cave, which was already a little eerie, started to feel even more isolating. At the bottom of this muddy hill, I came across a massive mud wall, and at the bottom, right corner, there was a small, dugout hole. It looked like a little slide. It wasn't very big, but it was enough to make me think, why not? Let's check it out. That was my second mistake. I slid down the hole without really thinking about it, and as soon as I hit the bottom, I realized I was in a tiny, cramped room. This room was so small that I could barely stand up straight. As I looked around, I noticed another dugout hole on the other side of the room. But then it hit me. I couldn't hear my friends anymore, and they couldn't hear me. I thought, all right, time to head back. The problem? The only way out was through the same hole I had come through. But going up wasn't going to be as easy as going down. The hole I slid down was steep, muddy, and covered in thick, sticky, clay-like mud. I had to climb up this muddy incline. But now, instead of going feet first, I had to go head first, belly down. The whole thing became a struggle. The mud was grabbing onto me, and I couldn't get a good grip. I started to panic. For several minutes, I tried to move, but I wasn't making any progress. That's when fear really hit me. I was stuck. I stopped, took a deep breath, and crawled back into the tiny room, drenched in sweat. I took off my helmet, ripped open my caving suit, and lay there, mentally exhausted, trying to figure out what to do next. After a few minutes of calming down, I realized I had to go back up in a completely different way. I couldn't go up feet first. I needed to go on my back, with my arms first, head next, and slowly shimmy up this muddy chute. It wasn't easy. It took a lot of effort and a lot of patience, but I eventually made it out. When I finally got back to my group, I took a minute to catch my breath. They all noticed how drained I looked, and I couldn't help but laugh at myself, even though I felt pretty embarrassed. We all had a good laugh, but the truth was, I was mentally wiped out from the whole experience. It taught me that no matter how well you know a cave, you should always be cautious and never underestimate the environment around you. Caving is always an adventure, but it's also about staying calm, thinking clearly, and understanding the risks. Every time I go out, I learn something new, and sometimes those lessons come the hard way, but they always stick with you. That's why I take caving so seriously, not just for my own safety, but for the safety of everyone around me. So the next time you're exploring underground, always remember, stay calm, stay aware, and never underestimate the challenge. And if you're ever unsure, don't be afraid to ask for help. It could save your life.